Well, I was going to wear the black armband tonight because I disagree with Craig McRae. I do think it's a club in mourning after the weekend's loss of Nick Daicos. I've been on 1A on the Collingwood bus and the Nick Daicos bus, but I just think after the weekend it's a cruel game. It really is. There's more punches to the nose than there is pats on the back. This guy's probably, in all likelihood, lost the Brownlow as late as round 21, and they've lost their number one trump card. This is more than just a flesh wound. It's far more serious than that. We saw the Eagles in 2018 go on and win it without Nick Nat, which was the ultimate blow at that stage of the year. We saw Tom Stewart go down for the Cats at training, I think it was, in 21, and they just couldn't get there in the end. This guy is so important to everything Collingwood do, and they've won games even though they've been a little bit clunky with system on the back of talent. He's their number one score involvement player. He's their number one disposal player. He's 30 a week. He's bankable. Yep, okay, got tagged on the weekend and got shut out of the game. And it's become the biggest talking point in footy. Can you stop Nick Daicos? So I think logic says to me that they'll fight hard to finish top.
Right.
If they can somehow find that and things open up for them, they don't have to leave the MCG, well, that'd be great. I really can't see them winning it from here now. And maybe it's too much of a correction back to where everyone else maybe was 3 weeks ago. But this is the most savage of blows. There's no doubt about that. Craig McRae is sitting at home thinking, we've lost Murphy as well for 3 weeks. That makes it tougher. We've got to make so much change at a point where you just want to be on the runway, as we keep talking about, Horny and I, you've got to be on the runway this last 4 weeks to go. They've got no chance of being on the runway. They've lost two really critical players.
It's a good point. You can't talk all year about how good Nick Daicos is and then when they've lost him, not talk about how important it is. That's like taking, if you're going to say he's the best player in the competition, it's like taking Bontempelli out of the Dogs or Petrarca out of Melbourne or Lockie Neal out of Brisbane, Zach Butters out. That's the significance that we are talking about.
It's as big as that, is it?
Of course it is, because he's the best player in the game.
It's bigger.
He's bigger than all the if we're saying the year that he's had.
The numbers he's had, I mean, number one score involvements at Collingwood, number 8 in the competition, he was 10 weeks at half back.
Yeah.
Like the numbers are so distorted with this guy because of that. I just feel so sorry for Nick.
Yeah, well, that's the first thing, isn't it?
The Brownlow, he's never going to mention the Brownlow. He's never going to mention that.
He'll get another chance.
It's a team game.
It's
well, he may get another. He's not going to get a good chance as this to be 6, 8, 10 clear at 5, 6 weeks.
It's going to make for a thrilling Brownlow night.
It does now, doesn't it?
And obviously depends on Bont and Petrarca, who both put great games together.
Where do you sit? Do you think they can still?
I think they can. He can still get back potentially too, and so there's still going to be with the timeline. There's a chance for him to get back. And
what sort of level? Yeah, and the other issue too, if you are going to miss Nick Daicos, you then go, okay, everyone else around can step up. But the problem, and we'll touch on it later on, there are a lot of Collingwood players that aren't in the best form.
Well, that's what makes
to be able to fill his gap.
I think that's what probably concerns you as well, isn't it? That they haven't really been probably for 3 weeks playing their best footy. You've talked about even before they lost how teams are starting to beat them.
Yeah,
it is reminding me of the Monty Python Just a Flesh Wound skit, where Craig McRae is going to be headbutting the other club's kneecaps, having been disarmed and dismembered. But look, it's a cruel blow for Collingwood, but they've got to gather, and their stars need to have a powwow of significance, and they need to lean on De Goey. And Pendlebury needs to get his best form back, and Crisp needs to become the player that they need him to be in the midfield.
Yeah, well, he'll probably be the one that gets more midfield time now.
McCreery needs to be the man now. So the level of responsibility of those others rises dramatically.
The psychology of ladder position potentially. Like it's interesting, what our players are, where they put their energy. There's a bit of play late in the game. I think it might have been Morrison tackles Noble, and the crowd roars. And the 4 or 5 players get over to celebrate the tackle. That's been us for a large part of the last 18 months. That's been our energy levels and our want and excitement for others. It's a fascinating game. I think the game's played above the head more than people give it credit for.
Fascinating to hear Craig McRae's insight into what we saw yesterday at the MCG, and it was just a thrilling game. I know that the aftermath has been terrible with Nick Daicos and Nathan Murphy for Collingwood, but Hawthorn play spectacular footy. I know they've played some ordinary stuff along the way as well, but Hawthorn games are great to watch at the moment, and they got the points, and it was a terrific day for Sam Mitchell and his team.
Yeah, it was. It was an enthralling contest. The physicality was there. There was a bit of spite in it, and it was played at a finals-like intensity. So it was a high-quality game. Well done to Hawthorn, and the issues continue to build up for Collingwood. We'll touch on it in a minute, but there's starting to be a bit of a shades of Melbourne from last year about it. Melbourne were dominant for the first 10 weeks of the year, and as the year went on, their numbers and their profile just gradually fell away, and they still made a prelim, Melbourne, but weren't able to get back to their best footy, and it's just starting to appear the same way for Collingwood for me.
Before you leave Hawthorn, Newcombe and Day become two of the most watchable players in the competition. What they're doing, what they're challenging Will Day with to save the game for them at times, to go forward and fix a problem, to go in and win clearance. He steps out of traffic. He's a beautiful player to watch.
Yeah.
And Newcomb's got an edge of brutality to him. He does it a different way and can still show his skills, warehouse the skills that he's got. They're going to be great to watch in another 40 games' time, Hutto. They'll make a charge.
Yeah, and they've got a few players on the edge of their list that had big days yesterday as well. So there was a lot to like. All right, Collingwood. Just take us through what you saw and what you think.
Just want to pose a few problems that I think they've got to correct if there to be any chance. And Craig McRae put this on the table with his language at the press conference. It is about the Hunger Games now. And I'm looking fairly and squarely at a few. I'm looking for Tom Mitchell, who to me, the gap between what he was the first 13 rounds and now is stark. They're going to lean on this guy significantly to be the man. He's gone from top 20 in the comp to 70th in terms of winning contested possession week to week, from rounds 113 to rounds 14 onwards, and top 30 of clearances to outside of the top 80. So they're drastic drops. So if he can gather and go, they're back in the hunt. That's on watch. Brodie Myercheck, I don't know what's happened to Brodie. I know there's some inaccuracies with what he's doing, but for me it looks like he's lost the art form of winning contests. I mean, he was just a contested marking brute, and if he didn't mark the ball, he would follow up and be terrific. His targeted entries are not bringing the rewards that they once did. They've gone to him 21 times since round 15, and he hasn't converted one of those opportunities into a goal. Not one. I mean, that's a dramatic shift from what he was at the start of the season.
And his accuracy has deserted him as well. And he was getting, as you said, he was getting the ball in dangerous spots in the first half.
They can't compete with the best if those two are not thereabouts.
I just want to throw another name at you that I've been on watch for a few weeks now. I think Jeremy Howe, they need to do something with him to try and revitalise him as well, because his numbers have dropped away significantly, and maybe understandable coming back from that significant arm injury that he just hasn't got the confidence in his body. But his intercept possessions have halved. It's the lowest disposal count since early in his career. He's only averaging like 2.5 contested possessions. So they've thrown him around a bit. They've moved him to a wing.
So does Murphy's injury
and now with Murphy's injury, he needs to step up and he needs to become back to that intercepting force that we've seen him. And maybe he's still trying to find his confidence, but he's got to get rolling as well for me, because he's going to play a big role now without Murphy.
I think Craig McRae's got to sit down with with Scott Pendlebury and have a conversation. Are you still a centre bounce commodity for this team? If you're not a hit-to player, it's very difficult for a player without speed to be part of where the dancers do their best work. And I'm not going after anyone, I'm not. It's just the separation, once the ball's bouncing and bobbling between Pendlebury and his opponent, is stark. And it's only a metre here and a metre there, but it forces a cascading effect where the others have to leave their opponent to cover. Now, they got smacked out of the middle, but this is not just a yesterday issue. So here, even when he gets the ball, he's swallowed up quick, bang. And then now, Newcombe is out and gone. In free play, there's some vulnerability. So I think you have to have an honest conversation. Can you still be this player for us? He's still an excellent player.
Yep.
He can still play flanker roles, wing roles, whatever. But are you centre bounce? Do we need someone in there with a bit more speed? Look at this. Like, this just becomes 1 metre, becomes 2, becomes 3, becomes 4 very quickly. So then you have to get Adams to roll off his man, and then they're out and gone in a pure clearance sense. So I think the issue is theirs to fix. But you need an honest conversation. Hey, you either respond to this challenge and get your hands on the ball more, be bigger, a bigger frame in there, get more physical, or get out of there. It's pretty obvious what the problem is if you look closely
Where
enough.
would you move him to if you got him out of there? Where do you think
Move
they
him
need
anywhere.
him?
You can move. I would move him to half back. I think they're disorganised down back a little bit at the moment, and I'd move Howe out of there a bit. I don't know if I'd bring Frampton in, but there's a lot of things that got to. This is the problem.
Yeah.
A lot of things have got to happen at Collingwood.
Oh, yeah. Well, what about Darcy Moore? Because he was odd at times yesterday. Fumbles he didn't expect, where he seemed to be second-guessing.
Oh, this is about role mastery. You're the interceptor. You're the rebounder. Give it to the point guards. He doesn't need to be the laser by leg. He looks a bit confused. He looks all over the place. Just not sure what he's doing at the minute. So You know, that's yesterday, and we saw a couple last week, which we really didn't sort of dwell on too much, but it is about role mastery. What's your role in the team? It's not to do this sort of stuff, really. It's to stop the opposition, to thwart their best player, to be part of a great defence, and then let the playmakers play. Give the easy ones, give what's available, give what the opposition give you. Don't try and over-create too much, because it's finding them in trouble.
It feels like they are forcing it a little bit. Maynard's fallen in the same boat in recent weeks as well, just trying to force a little bit too much to try and generate a bit of that speed from the back half. So got a bit of work to do, the Pies.